The Law Alumni Award Ceremony reminds us each year at Marquette University Law School of the long-term importance of our work. We allow ourselves to infer from the individuals whom we honor this evening that some 12 or 20 or 32 or even 55 years from now, our successors at this great institution will find in the careers that our current students will then have forged much that is laudable, even worthy as a model. And we celebrate the accomplishments of all of our alumni by presenting awards to these four Marquette lawyers who have exemplified our best traditions and aspirations. And that really is what we most need from our alumni, present and future. They're examples. Yes, we need many other things from alumni. Your assistance in directing good students to us, your help in hiring and mentoring our graduates, and for a point I must make, because our former president, Father Wild, would criticize me afterwards if I did not, your collaboration in financially supporting the law school. And in that last regard, much of the progress at the law school in recent years really has been possible because of alumni support. For example, we are opening a law and entrepreneurship clinic, very much serving the initiative of our new president, Michael Lovell, and we recently announced this. The support for this comes entirely from donations that people have made to our annual fund. So too does much of the support for the Marquette Law School poll and indeed much of our public policy initiative. So I do thank our supportive alumni and friends for that, so many of you that is. But more than anything, it is the examples to which we keep returning when we think of our alumni. In particular, we wish to be able to point to our alumni and on that basis to ask our students to imagine themselves as Marquette lawyers. And for that, I thank all Marquette lawyers. With that in mind, let me turn to tonight's exemplars, the four award winners. I will begin with the Sports Law Alumna of the Year. We present this year's Charles W. Mentkowski Award, as it is named, to Nyea Sturman of our class of 2003. Nyea is the General Counsel of the National Basketball Association's Orlando Magic. She has held this position for the past year, working her way up in the organization. Indeed, she has been with the Magic for 10 years, with responsibilities going well beyond legal services to encompass strategic planning, financial analysis, budgeting, market research, contract negotiation, and inventory management, to give only a partial list. Nyea is General Counsel today and previously Assistant Director of Legal Services, partly because, together with her colleagues, she established the legal department and built it from the ground up. When asked her favorite part of the job, Nyea points to the fact that no 2 days are the same. That means that she is always learning. This is one of the great things about our profession. To be sure, Nyea regards her Marquette legal education as having prepared her well. Marquette gave me the tools and the foundation to build my legal career, she told us. I wouldn't be where I am today without Marquette and the National Sports Law Institute. There are not many fond memories of the old building. Nyea remembers studying, socializing, and relaxing with friends off campus because the law school did not have the space, but there are of people. She points to Professor Paul Anderson as having had, quote, the biggest impact on me during my time at Marquette. He was always there with honest insight and encouragement. You had to earn his respect, but he was always there to support you once you did. Those would have been upper-level experiences, but contracts her first year with Professor Ralph Anzavino was also memorable. It took place during the 2000 presidential election, Nyea recalls, and we spent a portion of each class discussing current events surrounding the election, including the controversy and suits around the recounting of votes in Florida. I rather doubt that a student in any of my classes that semester experienced such discussion, but I, after all, unlike Ralph Anzavino, was untenured at the time. for an especially important and even inspiring point for me, in addition to her professional success and despite the geographic distance, Nyea has remained involved with Marquette's sports law program as an alumna. Often that is service to the institution. For example, she serves on the Board of Advisors for our National Sports Law Institute and has come back to speak on career panels and at the NSLI's annual conference. But often, too, it is less public and more one-on-one. For example, Nyea makes time to speak with every Marquette law student who reaches out to her. This is the sort of engagement that we need yet to build a greater Marquette University Law School together. Nyea, would you please come forward with Barb O'Brien while I conclude? Nyea Sturman, for not just the example that you provide in your own career, but also the mentoring, counsel, and help that you afford your successors as Marquette Law students. It is a great privilege for us to present to you the Charles W. Mentkowski Sports Law Alumna of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Kearney, for those kind words. I am honored and humbled to accept this award. I am thankful that I had the opportunity to meet Professor Mentkowski. I am forever grateful for his vision and role in developing the National Sports Law Institute. When I was very young, my parents read me a book titled Women Can Be Anything. When I quickly decided that I wasn't going to become a professional baseball player, I set my focus on the front office instead. I have many people to thank who supported me in my journey to the front office and helped me to become the lawyer and person standing in front of you today. Thank you to my family and friends who are family for their unwavering support, love, and encouragement, and for instilling in me the belief that with hard work I could accomplish any goal I set for myself. Thank you to the Marquette Law faculty, especially Paul Anderson and Matt Mitten, for their guidance, wisdom, and support. Thank you to my classmates and fellow alumni. My time at Marquette wouldn't be the same without you. I value those friendships that continue to grow through this day. And a final thank you to the Magic, its ownership and leadership, for the chance they gave me to live my dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nyea. Our second award is the Howard B. Eisenberg Service Award. It is presented this year to Derek Mosley, a judge of the Milwaukee Municipal Court. He came to that position in 2002 from government service as an assistant district attorney in Milwaukee. And he brought with him an energy, a network, and a creativity that are just extraordinary. As a judge, Derek relies on skills and qualities well beyond knowledge of the law. I see all races, religions, genders, socioeconomic status, you name it, Derek told us of the municipal court, and he embraces this. The specific problems may seem straightforward. For example, unpaid tickets and their effects on one's ability to maintain a driver's license, but their consequences can be wide-ranging. Just to continue with that example, with so many employers having moved out of the city, it is hard to get or keep a job without being able to get there by car. Derek and the other judges in the Milwaukee Municipal Court have developed specific innovative programs to address the problem, and they have done the same, or differently, with other problems. That's just the day job, or sometimes the weekend job, as holding court in community centers outside of working hours has been one of the specific innovations. Derek's service beyond his job is exemplary, to understate the matter. To give some current examples, and only a few, he serves on the Trans Center for Youth Board, which helps students who have struggled in traditional school settings obtain diplomas. He is on the Lad Lake Board, helping kids who are aging out of the foster care system but who need housing, jobs, licenses, and so much else. He is part of St. Rose, which helps young women who have been victims of sex trafficking, a growing problem in the area, Derek notes. As one of his nominators wrote, Derek routinely spends his pre- and post-work hours speaking at local schools and civic organizations. Hardly a week goes by where he is not reaching out to or working with some organization as a role model for or educator of at-risk youth. It truly is exhausting to keep up with him and the number of community events he is involved in. I am tempted to say that no one is perfect, and perhaps the late Howard Eisenberg, who started as dean a month after Derek's graduation, would have preferred that someone from the west side of Chicago or the north side, home of his beloved Cubs, receive the Eisenberg Award. Derek, by contrast, is from the south side of Chicago and a White Sox fan. But Howard never held either of those things against me. This is probably a good time to note, as I do annually, that the Alumni Board makes these selections, lest you think that Derek did not win this award on the merits. Derek, would you please come forward so that I may conclude? Derek, with full personal confidence, as not just his successor but friend, and with great admiration for the service that you provide as a judge and as an engaged resident of this city, I consider it a great privilege for me to ask you to accept the Service Award remembering the late Dean Howard B. Eisenberg. Congratulations.
Good evening. How is everybody? Good, good. So I'm just kind of like, I'm sort of like in the zone. It's kind of all surreal to me standing here right now, because I know when I first came to Marquette, I would have never thought in a million years I'd be up here right now. Actually, my comments are basically just going to be thank yous, and I'll start right away with thanking my wife, Kelly Cochran, a 1996 graduate of this law school. When people see me at events on the weekends or on the weeknights and holidays, I'm there because this woman allows me to be there. And that's the honest to God truth. If it wasn't for her maintaining the things that we have going on at home and taking care of those things, I would not be able to do the things that I do. So, Kelly, thank you very much. I also want to thank my kids for allowing me to drag them to all my little events that I go to all the time. I think it's important that they see this community and not just the little area that they know, that they see all different parts of this community. But there's actually two people that I really wanted to sort of, I guess, honor tonight, if that's the way to put it. So when I asked two people to kind of be my guests here today, and those two people are here, and I'm going to start with the first one. Robin, if you could please stand up for me, please. Hey, everybody, this is Robin Cork, and Robin Cork has been at the law school for a number of years. And my quick story about why I wanted Robin to be here is when I first came to the law school, I walked into the library, and I didn't know where I was going. I have papers everywhere, and I still don't know what's going on in the library. And I'm just walking around, and a woman says, well, how are you? And I'm like, fine. And I'm just, because everybody says, how are you? And I looked up, and she's still there. And so she really wanted to know how I was. And it was great. And from that moment on, I would always go into the library, and Robin was somebody that I could talk to and count on, and she was always there for me and knew exactly where I needed to be looking for stuff, for papers and what have you. So Robin, thank you very much for being there for me, and I wanted you to be here and enjoy this with me as well. The second person I wanted to honor is Beverly Franklin. Bev, could you stand up for me, please? Bev is also an employee of the law school and has been for a number of years. But the best part about Bev was Bev was sort of, for any African-American student that went to Marquette, Bev was like our mom. And I mean that with all the... Bev was the person who, no matter who was there, if you felt like, you know what, I cannot do this, this is overwhelming, Bev would be like, sit down. You can do this. You know, you do this for all of us. And so, not a day went by that I didn't go see Bev. And Bev, you are truly an inspiration. And I know when my mom passed away, I came and saw you, and you were my strength. So I love you, and thank you very much. I'm getting all emotional. But I just wanted to thank those two for being here. And finally, so there's this young man who called the law school, and he wanted to know all about law school. And so Stephanie Nicolay gave him my number. And this young man probably called me 46 times before I actually got back to him. And I wanted to bring him today because he has aspirations to be a lawyer, and I wanted him to see all of you and see what you guys are all about and see what we're all about here at Marquette. So Rayshawn, could you please stand up? Thank you for coming. And I'm not sure if she's here yet, but I have another mentee who I've been mentoring by the name of Alinda Ayala. There she is. Alinda right now works for Robert W. Baird, but very soon will be hopefully attending law school here at Marquette. Watch out for this one. She's going to be on fire. She's dynamite. She never stops. She keeps going. So Alinda, thank you for coming today. I appreciate that as well. So to end, I would just say the one thing that motivates me is a quote by Frederick Douglass, and the quote is pretty simple. It's basically that it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. And so that's been my motto for trying to make this community a better community and make the children here better children. If you know anybody who needs a mentor, my door is always open. They can always come in. And if any of you are willing to be mentors, please let me know because we're always looking for some. But I want to thank you for the award. I hope I live up to the aspirations of Dean Eisenberg. He was a fantastic man. And I want to thank you for your time, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Derek. I especially appreciate your shout out to Robin and Bev, two of the stalwarts of the law school still today. Our Lifetime Achievement Award this year honors Frank Gimbel of the class of 1960. Frank is the Gimbel in Gimbel, Riley, Guerin, and Brown, even if he is not the only Gimbel at Gimbel, Riley, Guerin, and Brown. And he is a trial lawyer, something he knew he wanted to be since grade school. Frank's early days after law school took him to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Milwaukee, where he prosecuted, in the words of one of his nominators, some extraordinarily difficult cases involving, among other things, organized crime. Frank established his own firm in 1968, and a good deal of his work has involved criminal defense. In that private practice, hundreds, if not thousands of clients, some with great means, but many with nothing, have benefited from his counsel and representation. His excellence as a lawyer is well known not just in this community, but statewide and beyond. Frank's work in private practice, both criminal and civil litigation, for almost a half century, alone would warrant a Lifetime Achievement Award. But, most important though it is, to advert to his work as a lawyer on behalf of clients is only to warm up. Frank's activity on behalf of the legal profession itself is also extraordinary. Often this is high-profile work, including his presidency of the Milwaukee Bar Association in the 1970s and of the State Bar of Wisconsin in the 1980s. But these were not just lines to be added to some biography. Frank approached these responsibilities with characteristic enthusiasm, which is infectious. One of his nominators, his immediate successor as president of the State Bar, acknowledges Frank's ability to lead the leadership, but says that, "I felt that one of his greatest attributes was his constant awareness of the needs of the little guy and making sure that those practitioners were well served and represented in the State Bar." This is an attribute that Frank has long manifested in his service to the larger community, well beyond the legal profession. Consider Frank's service in the late 1970s and early 1980s on the Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission. This was a time when the chief of police was, let us say, rather certain of his own authority vis-a-vis the rank and file officers. Frank used not only his legal skills, but his political ability to fashion rules that ensured fair hearings for members of the police and fire departments. At the same time, Frank worked within the commission to ensure that minorities who had been denied opportunities with the departments had recourse. There was much more to that undertaking, but Frank's unusual blend of legal and political skills was essential to bringing everyone along, including, ultimately, the chief of police. That instance may be from more than 3 decades ago, but Frank's important public service continues today. Frank chairs the Wisconsin Center District, an unpaid government body that funded, built, and operates, in particular, the Midwest Express Center, as it was once known, and the UWM Panther Arena. I made sure to use the current name for the latter one, as I thought that to be more important to Frank. I believe the Milwaukee Theater, part of the district, still to be standing as well, and I hope so, since the law school holds its annual graduation ceremony there each May. Let no one doubt Frank's ability to identify his clients' or organization's interests and figure out an appropriate way to realize them. There is so much more that might be said about Frank Gimbel, from his affinity and support for his alma mater, Marquette University Law School, to his engagement with and service to the Jewish community. Yet we want to hear from Frank, and so Frank, I would ask you to come up also as I conclude. Frank, we who have come along after you, whether to the legal profession, Marquette University Law School, or Milwaukee and Wisconsin, are much in your debt. Your example as a lawyer, your work to benefit the profession, your stewardship of important cultural resources are only some of the ways that you have improved and inspired us. On behalf of the Law Alumni Board and the law school more generally, and on the basis of your work in going on 6 decades as a Marquette lawyer, it is a great privilege for us to ask you to accept our Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you, Barbara and Dean. It actually was more than a half century ago that I graduated from this school. Your math isn't that good, but your eloquence is. 55 years ago, I walked out of a dingy little building just north of this one as a Marquette lawyer. And I had a net worth of negative dollars. I had a son at home, I had a pregnant wife, and I had a new job for $150 a month, plus half of what I brought in. Today, I have an extraordinary net worth. Not money, not securities, but as a consequence of the values that I learned as a Marquette law student. And those values are, in global terms, have faith, commit to your family, and commit to your community. And I've tried to do that, and I've tried to do that as energetically as I could. And it's worked, because I'm getting this award tonight. So I thank those people who were a part of the nominating process. And more importantly, I'd like to share with you some of my current balance sheet. I have 4 spectacular children. My oldest son, Todd, is a Marquette lawyer. He lives in Singapore. He adopted a little Indian boy. He works as a consultant for corporate affairs in Southeast Asia. My number 2 son, Joshua, who's here with his wife, Julia, has given me 2 wonderful grandchildren. He was a law clerk for Terry Evans, a dear, dear friend of our family. He was a Michael Best partner for 25 years, and a year and a half ago, he joined his dad's law firm as a partner, and he honors us. But as a footnote to that, Josh also runs the Posner Pro Bono program here at Marquette University, and tomorrow he'll be speaking on the same dais about the work there, and I'm very proud of Josh. My 3rd child is this beautiful young lady, Rachel Wagner. She is a psychologist. She's married to Benjamin Wagner, who's a partner at Havish. We got lawyers, Badger lawyers, Marquette lawyers. Ultimately, I'll tell you about the last kid. But what Rachel does, Rachel provides psychological counseling services for people who don't have insurance and who have very limited means through the services of Jewish Family Services. And she's given my wife and I 2 beautiful grandchildren. My last child is Noah. And Noah is a 2L at Georgetown Law School. And he recently was elected editor-in-chief of the Georgetown Law Journal. And he's married to one of his undergraduate professors from Madrid. And he has a beautiful little boy who's bilingual and learning more languages. So I don't know how these kids got so smart, because it didn't come from dad, but they had good mothers. And they also had good habits. And then I have another family. It's the Gimbel, Riley, Guerin, and Brown family, many of whom are here tonight. And they are truly a family. They are all smart, they're all committed, and I like to think that they also have the Marquette value system of faith, family, and community. My ultimate partner in life is my wife, Annie. And Annie is the mother of Rachel and Noah. She has a master's degree from UWM in education. She's a registered nurse. She's a yoga instructor. But more importantly than all of those things, she's been my partner and my caretaker for the last 33 years. And those things that Joe articulated as activities that I undertook, not for the glory of getting a trophy or an award, but for the pleasure that I got from the service opportunities that I had, really has made my life so very, very much fun. And so I say to all of those people who are in law school, thinking of going to law school, and those of you who are out there in the field struggling to make a living, there's more opportunity out there with your Marquette law degree than you will ever know about until you jump in the water and start swimming. Thanks all for coming.
Thank you, Frank. Our final Alumni Award this evening is our longest standing, the Alumnus of the Year Award. Paul Dacier, of our class of 1983, has had accomplishments in Boston that have few parallels among the ranks of Marquette lawyers. Paul is today the Executive Vice President and General Counsel of EMC Corporation. In the sense of Paul's work as the company's principal lawyer, nothing has changed since 1990, when Paul joined the company. But just about everything else on this front has changed over the past 25 years. Paul arrived to a company that had 1 patent and 1 lawyer, him. Today, EMC is a Fortune 200 company holding thousands of patents, and Paul heads an office with more than 100 lawyers. While he did not succeed in maintaining the elegant 1-to-1 ratio of attorneys to patents, that may be about the only thing that has gone wrong. EMC is a most successful company. To understate a point, there has been no inevitability about EMC's success, and the work of Paul and his legal team in securing the company's rights and defending its prerogatives has been at the center of this high-tech company's story. Sometimes that involves negotiation or deals. Other times it requires litigation. Often it requires the latter in order to get to the former. In all events, Paul has the energy, intellect, and skills for whatever is required. As Microsoft's well-known general counsel, Brad Smith, has said of him, Paul's a great problem solver. You can count on him to take a complex problem and to make it smaller. What a wonderful, succinct statement of good lawyering. And all of this does not even include Paul's much more work generally in leading EMC, from vice president in 1993 to senior vice president in 2000 to executive vice president for almost a decade now. Yet somehow Paul deeply involves himself in the legal profession well beyond the traditional general counsel. During the middle part of the last decade, Paul served at the appointment of the Massachusetts governor as a commissioner of the Massachusetts Judicial Nominating Commission. This same governor, Mitt Romney, rewarded Paul for this service by appointing him as the presiding officer in the proceedings to designate, de-designate, or remove from cause the chairperson of the Massachusetts Turnpike Authority. The governor needed a great lawyer. For a sense of his estimation among his lawyer colleagues in Massachusetts, consider that Paul recently served as president of the Boston Bar Association. This is the oldest bar association in the country, with a history going back to colonial times and President John Adams, president of the Boston Bar Association, before becoming president of the United States. Despite all this history, Paul was the first general counsel to lead the association in its more than 250 years. This was no ceremonial role. During Paul's term, the Boston Bar Association played a key role in helping the Massachusetts judiciary secure adequate funding for the day-to-day operations of the courts, something of a premise for a well-functioning legal system, but nonetheless a tough nut to crack given today's political and budgetary realities. Paul's work on this front is part of a long-time, larger commitment to a well-functioning state court system. Sometimes it is on the budgetary front. Chief Judge Sandra Lynch of the First Circuit has remarked, Paul has a lot of credibility, particularly in the business community, and he has taken that credibility and respect and used it for the benefit of the state court system. For as long as I can remember, he has been an active proponent of adequate funding for the state courts in Massachusetts. Other times, Paul works other fronts. For example, a number of years ago, he helped lead the successful effort to establish a business litigation session of the Superior Court in Boston, a most notable innovation. I have focused on Paul's accomplishments in the legal profession and his service to the larger community through the law. Paul has interests and commitments beyond the law, from his family to scouting to his church. Rather than survey these, each impressive in its own right, I want to present the award and to stand down in Paul's favor. Paul, would you please come up here while I conclude? Paul, for your accomplishments, both as a lawyer and a public citizen, for the excellence, faith, leadership, and service that you have modeled as a Marquette lawyer, it is a great privilege for me to ask you to please accept this award as Marquette University Law School's Alumnus of the Year. Congratulations.
Good evening. Dean Kearney, President O'Brien, fellow honorees, brothers and sisters in the law, it is a privilege and an honor to speak with you this evening. I have to say, it is a big difference from Sensenbrenner Hall, sitting in the library or in the lounge in the basement, learning by the Socratic method. I would like to thank very much my parents, Donald and Genevieve Dacier, for the values they instilled in me as a young boy. I would not be here today practicing as a lawyer if it was not for my grandmother, Ethel M. Poore, who financed my education for the most part from 1980 to 1983. There are many, many, many other people that have been influential in my life, and I am forever grateful to them. Most importantly, for the past 25 years, I have been very blessed with my wife, Kim, who is here tonight, and my 3 children, Jessica, Brittany, and John. And the sacrifices that they gave for me to become more than successful, I am truly moved, and I think of it every day. What I would like to impart with all of you tonight, many of you are Marquette lawyers, is the importance of the law degree from Marquette University Law School and the impact that all of you have had and can continue to have in the legal community. There is an overwhelming need today for legal services. Look at the number of pro se litigants, for example. These people need help. These people need legal services. These people are there right now looking for you to help change their lives. Also, you can take the law degree here from Marquette and know that anything is possible, whether in the classic profession of law, practice of law, or on the judiciary, or in business, government, politics, and the like. What you have to do is be willing, no matter what stage of your career you're at, take the risk. Know that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And know that with your education here, and with the fact that your eyes have been opened, you too can change the world. The other topic I'd like to speak with you about is access to justice. How can it be in this affluent society that we have large numbers of homeless people, and in particular, large numbers of children who have no parents, who live in hotels, who are wards of the state? Also, I would ask, how can it be that middle America today cannot have their children go to school, college, never mind professional school, without incurring astronomical debts that in many instances cannot be repaid? In fact, I'm sure you've heard the statistics, that student debt currently totals over $1.1 trillion. What happened to the American society that was founded years ago by those who wanted to give opportunity to all and not for a few? Remember why this country was founded. Because people were not being tolerated for thinking differently. And the control of countries and wealth was in the hands of a few. I would hope and expect that our Constitution that stands from long ago would stay in effect and ensure that all of us have opportunities that our founding fathers expected. It is incumbent upon all of us as Marquette lawyers to stand as leaders in our society, whether in our neighborhood, in our condo association or residential association, or in our cities and towns or state or federal government, that we speak up for those who do not have the opportunities that we have and work diligently to ensure that they have those opportunities We need to do this to preserve our democracy. There isn't a higher calling. So I congratulate all of you for what you have done on behalf of Marquette. But I challenge you to keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. I have one final announcement this evening. For several years, we've been able to present the Ralph J. Harris Law School Citizen Award, a scholarship given to a rising 2L student for his or her second year of study at Marquette. The award remembers the late Ralph Harris of our class of 1941, one of the great champions and advocates both of the project that led to this building and of his successors as Marquette lawyers. At the suggestion of the Harris Foundation, one of whose directors, John Farrell, is here tonight, this award annually goes to a student who adds to the spirit of the law school, demonstrating a broad spectrum of qualities, including professionalism, a willingness to assist fellow students, and involvement in the law school and the broader community, and other indicia of the Marquette University mission. The selection process involves faculty and administrators, as well as current first-year students. The former submit nominations, out of which 3 candidates are selected to appear on a ballot for voting by first-year students. I'm delighted to announce that the 2015 recipient of the Ralph J. Harris Law School Citizen Award is Derek Randall. Derek, would you please come up? Let me tell you just a little bit about Derek. Derek is a graduate of Texas A&M University, where he received a BA in Spanish and was part of the National Naval ROTC program. After graduating, Derek was with the Marine Corps, finding himself variously in Hawaii, Japan, Panama, and Afghanistan. He was selected as the only active duty officer for the 2014 U.S. Marine Corps Law Education Program, which permits officers to depart the operating forces in excess leave status, pursue a law degree, and return as a judge advocate. Derek began at the law school as a part-time student in the fall of 2013 and became a full-time student this past year. This being not a career award, I will not hold forth further, nor will Derek take the podium, but I do want to commend him as the choice of his fellow students for the Ralph J. Harris Law School Citizen Award, as well as to commend the other finalists for the Harris Award, Emily Harriman and Adam Vandenhavel, who will receive partial scholarships next year, for what all 3 of them are doing to help us build the Marquette Law School community and the profession and the society more generally. All 3 of you inspire us. Congratulations.
Wow, truly an amazing group of honorees here tonight. Please join me again in congratulating them. Inspirational to other Marquette lawyers and students. Thank you very much. And thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to celebrate with us here tonight. Please have a safe trip home. Thanks again.